Lighting this fire, gathering in a circle, a Chartres community begins to form, picking up our mantle of years before, a mantle born by people whose footsteps we follow. Gaul, Carnute, indigenous people of the land, Chartrian masters, people who love creation from all walks of faith and perspectives. This is our path. We circle now, finding our place in the grass, in the seeds, feeling the excitement of being together, anticipating what it is that can possibly come through each of us to build this fire bright so that the world can see, hear, feel, unite to transform the reality from destruction into vibrant renewal. Blessings for all the people suffering from COVID effects, whether physical illness, financial illness, family hardships, and blessings for Jim Garrison and Ubiquity Youth for gathering this circle that we might come together and feel our strength and power and move in concordance with life. Mama, oh, I know.
Thank you, Apela. Thank you, Ruth. Welcome, everyone, to our September community call after the extraordinary summer that we all spent together. Just to recall just for a moment, we were all planning to actually go to Chartres, if you remember, from last year into 2020. And then the pandemic hit. And so in April, we decided that we needed to go virtual. We had no idea whether we could pull it off. We had no idea whether anybody would show up. And I'm just delighted, as we've been communicating in our various written communications to you, that we had well over double the numbers that we had in person last year in 2019. I think it was over 435 participants in the 5 courses that we had. We introduced Calen to all of you who choreographed the pilgrimages. We had an extraordinary liberal art in Grammatica, as you remember, from trauma to transformation, and then Banafsheh and Anne and Peggy and Ruth had this extraordinary elegant and powerful course with Madonna Rising, out of which has come the impulse to develop these rose circles and ongoing celebrations of the Divine Feminine and Mary Magdalene. And so we, with this call, just want to welcome everybody from the summer. We're going to be hearing from some of the faculty, some of the high points that they felt were important. We want to hear from you. And then we want to also talk about what's coming up in the fall and over the winter, because our commitment was to build community. We're in a time of pandemic. All of us are struggling. We're still 6-7 months in. We're in some form of lockdown, all of us. We're engaging in social distancing. I happen to be in Paris, where the number of COVID cases has been increasing to now over 10,000 a day. I put a mask on every time I walk out my front door. California is not only having to deal with COVID, but relentless, gargantuan, record-setting fires and record-setting temperatures. So just so we know that many of us in our community are in California or Oregon. And Ava Carr, you remember from Grammatica, who did the heart coherence lecture and meditation, has had to evacuate. She couldn't be on the call because she's in some hotel somewhere with not particularly good Wi-Fi. Peggy Rubin is up there in Ashland, Oregon, and they've been evacuating huge percentages of the population. So I just want to communicate to everybody, we're all under duress. We all are beset by incoherence of every imaginable kind, from political to social to economic to climactic to extreme weather events as we navigate through this pandemic. And yet we're here building community. And I think one of the reasons why we had such a strong summer is because all of us understand that the most important thing we can do personally and collectively is to build the community of coherence, islands of coherence that nurture our souls and our hearts and our bodies as we navigate through this, and we all need to be holding hands. So the Chartres Academy and the Wisdom School is dedicated to that purpose. I want to thank all of you for participating so enthusiastically and so affirmatively all the way through the summer. It just warmed all of our hearts that we were able to provide something in the dark hour that was bringing light and solace to your soul and to ours. Coherence is the most important virtue in the world right now, bar none. Because if you're not coherent, if we're not coherent as a community, we will not long endure. So thank you, everyone. Now I'd like to turn it over to our co-director of the Chartres Academy and the one who really was the leader of the Madonna Rising, Banafsheh Sayyad. Banafsheh, welcome.
Thank you, Jim. It does say Georg Bach, but I'm Banafsheh Sayyad, everyone. Happy to be here with you. You know, the summer courses were a gamble. They were really a gamble. We thought, will they work? Could we do this? Would people want to do online courses, online versions of these in-person courses? And like Jim said, you know, people join, and with each course, the numbers escalated. We were also wondering, could the, you know, the online version actually justify, you know, a substitute? Could it be a justifiable substitute for the in-person? And just from experiencing the field, the coherent field that we created together in these courses, and the feedback from you and from the people who attended, from the faculty and the staff, showed that they really worked. They really nourished us. And though, you know, they were not quite like the in-person courses, of course, they did feed us. And actually, for many, made attendance possible who wouldn't have been able to travel. So I feel very blessed that we were able to join together that way. I feel we actually created a virtual Chartres Cathedral with all of our hearts coming together. We began with the liberal art of Grammatica, and we named the traumas that we're experiencing as a collective and also personally, and opened ourselves to the potential of transformation through learning and letting our learning become wisdom, through dreams, through embodiment, and through prayer. And then the courses that followed, that many of you were on, the Pilgrimage to Dordogne, the Madonna Rising, Rosa Mystica intensive, and the Pilgrimage in the Footsteps of Mary Magdalene, were transformative. Were transformative as we remembered the Divine Feminine and put some of the pieces of her reality back together, found her presence in ourselves and our presence in her, embracing her and being embraced back. For me, the highlights of our time together were the breakout groups and the meet and greet that we did after our sessions, where the community really came together and shared. So in this moment that the fires rage through California, through Oregon and Washington State, I happen to be in Southern California. And with the devastation in many parts of our world, I feel I want to invite all of us to come together and feel ourselves sitting like the Black Madonna on the throne of wisdom, on the throne of wisdom. And in one hand, hold the devastation and the suffering, the destruction. And in the other hand, hold the deliverance, the hope, the dedication to that which we love, the beauty, the goodness of being alive, being together. And bring them together, bringing our hands together, holding both, and placing our hands on our hearts. Place your hand on your heart. And can we together close our eyes just for a few seconds? And pray for the deliverance. Pray for the deliverance of our suffering world. Pray for a change of weather in the west coast of the United States. That will help the abatement of the fires. And also pray for the perseverance of those battling the fires, the firefighters, the first responders, sending them energy to persevere. And may each and every one of us, dedicate ourselves to reducing our contribution to climate change and to what is devastating our environment. May it be so. May it be so. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you. I turn it over to you, Jim.
Thank you, Banafsheh. And in that spirit of just reverence for the mother, I would like to invite several of our faculty and then any of you who want to share your impressions of any of the courses or anything you would like to say, just raise your hand. Down to the bottom of your screen, you can just click on a little button that says raise your hand, and we'll get to as many people as we can. But why don't we start first with you, Ruth, since you were first up, and then Apela, and then Anne. And then we'll turn it over to the students and anybody on the calls that would like to contribute. Ruth, what impressed you the most? What was the takeaway for you from the various courses this summer in which you participated?
Well, I was just so very happy that I was mostly involved with Madonna Rising, that we were somehow able to bring the energy of the cathedral to all of us and have that sense even over the Zoom. I mean, one wonders sometimes whether we can get that kind of energy. And I was so, I think, yeah, it was just wonderful to play for the footage of the cathedral and just put myself there. I mean, every time I played, I tried to remember playing in the crypt and playing by the labyrinth, and just saw myself there and tried, and especially when we did Walking the Labyrinth, the finger labyrinth, when I played for that, it was just, I really felt like we were there. And so that was a very, very powerful moment. And also when I think Banafsheh did a very long dance thing, and at the end of it, she asked me to sing an Ave Maria, and it's like, just went someplace else for me. And so, yeah, I was just so happy that somehow we were able to bring that energy to everyone, even people who hadn't been to Chartres before. I think they got a sense of it. So that would be what I'd say. I'll pass it to the next person now.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Ruth. And it was just so good to have you singing your golden thread through the various courses over the summer, like you have so exquisitely in Chartres since 2016. So just thank you for everything that you do to support the spiritual growth of our community. And by the way, everyone, we're in the process of thinking through with Ruth's sources and sing. And so stay tuned.
Stay tuned, yes.
Apela, What were the high points for you over the summer? You're muted.
The main thing that I come away with from the summer experience is an appreciation of our community, that we really truly have become a community, and even moving to a virtual setting where many people have never met or have known each other. We came together. It was a feeling, but also because I'm a member of the Chartres Dream Team. As we worked with the dreams, what we saw from the calls in the first sharings, that the dreams are really frightening, and then the dreams got stronger and clearer and provided direction and impetus. We were really being nudged, and not only being nudged, but shown that we are one. It was an amazing thing to hear. It was an amazing thing to perceive, because we've been doing dream work for that 14 years roughly, and to see that even a virtual fire like this works was amazing. And the implications are kind of interesting too. What we can do, with seeing dreaming and dream work this way, and it led me to the question: if we really focus on our dreams, if we think about the power that we have as a community, we might be able to do some real good in this world. I mean, I think we do anyway, but there was something about the virtual campfire and the way that it worked, that the spirit of Chartres, the dream work we do is sacred site based. We weren't at the site, and yet the process held true. And partly it's because faculty who have been to Chartres, some many times, were on, and some people were on, but it didn't seem to matter. If you weren't on, if you have not been to Chartres, you're still folded into the field of sacred excitement and expectation and revelation. Our little virtual fire became a node, bringing the worlds together really on every level. So I just felt, when it was over, I almost felt like I had been to Chartres. And that's saying a lot, because it's just, I love it so much, and I feel loved back by the place. And I long for our community. When we don't get together, it's really something, my life flatlines in a certain way. So I just want to say thank you for all of you, the community, for the faculty, and Jim, for you for carrying this for so long and holding it for us. So I think that's about it.
Thank you, Apela. I think all of us were uncertain as to whether we could manifest that same quality of tenderness for the feminine and exquisite community with each other, not being in Chartres. And I think, to our delight and surprise, including in your dream group, that we were able to manifest that same quality, and almost feel like we were there. And I would say too that this whole notion of flatlining, in a funny way, I felt that when I was in Chartres, because I was there, because I had to be in Europe, but I was all by myself. And I was feeling fed by our virtual meetings in ways that being in Chartres wasn't feeding me, because it's the community that really creates the container. So in a funny way, I felt a little flatlined, even though I was in Chartres, because the community wasn't there. And so what you're saying is very, very astute. And we look forward to, I know all of us, to being there in person next year if possible, but we've demonstrated that we're able to manifest this just because of, or through, community intent. That's a beautiful, beautiful development and awareness. Yeah.
I just wanted to add one thing. After we did the Chartres call, we did the 4 weeks of pandemic dreaming using, the Chartres approach. And between the Chartres dream and the pandemic dreaming, and we put together video, reflective series of videos on the experience. And about a month later, a woman from Harvard, a medical doctor from Harvard, wrote a small book called Pandemic Dreaming. She scooped our title. And when I looked at the book, I realized that the work that we were gifted with, the ceremony of dream work at Chartres, honestly and truly just blows this woman out of the water. So now we're repackaging it for general consumption, because she wrote it and she reported what it was, and it was as if she could have been a part of our first dream session, but our dreams didn't end where her dreams ended, which is in the fear and the terror and so forth. Our dreams, we just moved through to an exposition of what the issues were, and a unification and a vision, and moving on. So we're going to get that out there.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Apela, for everything that you do. And keep dreaming, everyone. Keep writing them down. And coming on our Ubiverse dream group to communicate with others. So thank you. And then we'll turn now to Anne. And then after Anne, I noted that Calen has joined. So Anne, I'd love to hear from you, and then we'll hear from Calen, and then to open it up.
Well, I thought that what Apela was saying was absolutely right. And I think we have to think about how we're connected at the quantum level. So we're connected with Chartres all the time, and it knows what we're doing, and it appreciates and responds and sends us these dreams, probably. I thought it was a wonderful, for me, it was a new experience doing so many talks and also listening to other people. So I couldn't do all of the ones. I didn't do the labyrinth walk because I was too tired. But I thought that the faculty held it all together marvelously well. All the different characters that we are, we each contribute something to hold the whole thing like a sort of basket which everybody can sit in, as it were, and communicate with each other and take great pleasure. And as Banafsheh said, the sessions after the evening, or from my point of view, the evening talks was really one of the richest parts, showing the communication that there was between people and how they had so much to communicate. That was so moving, really. I found very moving. And also it drew us all together, definitely, as Banafsheh knew when she started that. And then as she was very pleased to discover that this was a very good move. So I thought that was lovely. And also for me, Ruth singing and playing is always the magic thread that goes through, leading us all into the rose garden and keeping us there in a state of absolute entrancement, really. So I'm very grateful to everyone. I couldn't do Calen's pilgrimage. I was too exhausted. And I have to take things carefully now. But I can always watch later on, can't I? So that would be nice. Calen, I think, has been in the thick of the fires or near the fires. And people that she knows near her have been having to leave their houses and things. I've been very upset today, really, with everything that's happening in Oregon, because I was thinking of Peggy, hoping that she's all right, and Jean Houston, and I've got Rick Tarnas and great friends in California. So, you know, I'm concerned about all of them, sending emails to them saying that we're thinking of you. So I think this is all part of the Chartres experience as well, this confrontation with suffering, confrontation with being inhibited from doing the things we normally do, having to be introverted, which is something utterly strange for our culture, which is very extroverted. So we're all within our little containers, so to speak. But we're learning that we can communicate in this extraordinary way under Jim's excellent guidance. So I'll leave it at that. But thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Anne. And just to recall, you know, Anne's various lectures during Rising, and her one lecture where she concentrated on the rose was one of the most exquisite presentations I think I've ever heard. And it just was so numinous and so pure, I would say, that it is now percolating through the collective psyche, and we're, you know, wanting to condense it in a way around rose circles. And Banafsheh, and I know you and Peggy and Ruth are thinking about how we actually formulate it. Calen has had similar ideas, but I just wanted to thank you on behalf of all of us for that beautiful lecture, because it has borne some very rich fruits, and that will manifest over time. So thank you for that. And this whole other thing, Banafsheh, that you came up with these little after parties after the session was a brilliant. Simple, but I'd never thought about it before. I thought when it was over, it was sort of over. But giving those of us who wanted to stay on to sort of a chance to debrief and to meet each other and to meet and greet was just a beautiful thing. And I think we may even do it with our community calls, where we just have a 20, 30 minutes after the formal session where people who want to just basically hang out will be able to do that in a very informal way, because that builds community. It's happened, by the way, very spontaneously on Humanity Rising. A group just spontaneously didn't ask for permission. They just started to send links out at the end of the Humanity Rising session saying, anybody wants to have a debrief, join. And now it's becoming a daily occurrence, and people are loving it. So you started a real a new meme, Banafsheh. Thank you. Thank you. Calen, what would you contribute to this? Calen there?
I'm here. I couldn't tell if you were saying Calen or Calen.
Yeah, Calen.
They're really close. Just on the labyrinth, it was just interesting doing a virtual labyrinth for the first time. So it helped to have the 15 years of working with the regular labyrinth, and I go back to the 1 year when they had the boards on it, and I had cut the pieces to put the labyrinth back energetically in place. And so I think the work that we've done with the labyrinth over the 15 years and Banafsheh's whirling that 1 year made it to where it's able now to be shared in a virtual setting. 2 weeks from yesterday, the International Labyrinth Conference, Laura and I are leading off, and we're going to explain the energetics of the Chartres labyrinth and the Ptolemy's geocentric universe, and we'll be followed by Jean Houston, which it just worked out the way the scheduling worked, that Laura and I are opening the international conference followed by Jean Houston, even though she has top billing. So it was a quirk in the scheduling. So I'm hoping to introduce for the first time the things about the Ghost Cathedral and how we are able to do the things with the labyrinth that we've been able to do. So all hail the Wisdom School, and I hope we're back there in person next year.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So let's see, while we're waiting, if anybody would love to contribute, we would welcome you. You just need to raise your hand so we can call on you. And in the meantime, I would just add two little points. One is that these developments are part of an organic process now that is taking on a life of its own. And I think that's maybe the most beautiful part about, for us, observing the summer, is the way, you know, we have rose circles. We're now talking with Calen Asbo about developing not only her courses, as you'll see on the course schedule and the communications, but a school for Mary Magdalene studies that will also be a degree program, so that people can really delve into a deep study of the extraordinary contribution that Mary Magdalene has made to the contemplative tradition of Christianity, and the influence that she's had, as you know from Calen, over the centuries in the mystical tradition of Christianity. So we're going to be announcing more about that. We're in a discussion with Banafsheh. She's going to be offering her courses in embodiment. We have a partnership with Dance of Oneness, and maybe developing a master's in fine arts that will just allow all of us, all of you, to deepen your spiritual development with the possibility of also building degrees. And it's a beautiful thing where the rose circles are all in formation. People are coming out of the woodwork that want to offer courses through the Wisdom School. We're enrolling more and more students. So we're building programs and partnerships. All this is just naturally coming forth, because I think what Apela said is fundamentally true. And what Anne said, that even though we weren't in Chartres, Chartres was in us. That was the beauty of this summer, I think, in the end for me. I felt Chartres in us, even though we all weren't there. And that's beautiful, because that means that the etheric quality, the etheric tonality of that sacred place is now living in us. And it would be wonderful to be there, of course, but one never knows about world events these days. So that's just something that is just worth noting as we move now into the fall of the year and toward the winter, that our community is now a living organism, self-perpetuating the sacred feminine of Chartres through the community itself. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
We're like messengers of Chartres, Jim. We're our own way. And our coming together puts the cathedral back together virtually in our hearts.
Also, I was thinking that the people who founded Chartres are with us. They're with you, Jim, in what you're doing. They're there. They're still alive, so to speak. And this is maybe what their dream was, that it should one day bear fruit, what they started. I think that's very powerful. It's come right strongly, as Banafsheh was speaking, as you were speaking, that they're with us and giving us their intelligence and their strength and their vision of what they hoped would come out of what their great work was, which had to come to an end with the Black Death, I think. But anyway, I just wanted to say that.
To be beyond
Yes.
the place itself, to be beyond the place itself.
So do we have any hands raised? so many people on the call. I'm surprised there's not more people that would want to contribute what they experienced or felt or anything that they would like to share. Suzanne Hodgins and Claire Milne and Richard Page. Good. Let's go with Suzanne Hodgkins. Are you able to? Can you bring her on, Banafsheh? There you go. There's Suzanne. Now you need to unmute yourself, Suzanne.
Okay, there I am.
There you go.
There I
Welcome.
am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I had booked to stay in Chartres this summer because not with the group. And so being virtual, I was able to join. I could afford it. And it was very powerful for me. And what I appreciated so much at the end too was that I could share this with others. And so I have a soul group. There are 4 of us that get together, and we're going to share that this fall, which I feel so grateful that I can do that. So many things I've taken over the years, you know, it's I'm not allowed to share it, and other people I know can't afford it. And so it was very powerful to me. And I knew Anne Baring. I had taken a course, and I follow Ubiquity all the time. And so thank you for everything. Thank you. Don't want to take up too much time.
It's all right. Which courses did you take, Suzanne?
With Anne Baring.
Madonna Rising, Rosa Mystica.
No,
Yeah.
It was one she had done earlier in the last year. All about the history, and it's really, I've learned so much because I did a labyrinth at Christmas. There was a woman who came in my town who built one out of seashells and tea lights. And so I love labyrinths, and I do them whenever I can, when I find one. And I went into the center to the tree of life, and for 219, and I walked out for 220. And I actually this year had devoted my life and my soul to the Madonna, and then all of this came. And so she is working in my life so profoundly in my dreams and the deep imagery work that I do as a practitioner. And so just want to thank you for everything.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. It's always so affirming to know that we're feeding your soul, or feeding our own souls, because that's the point of the mystery school. What Plato called the enlargement of the soul. That's what we're here for. So Claire Milne, and then Richard Page.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, the audio. 1 second. Okay. Hi, Jim. Hi, Banafsheh. Hi, everybody. I did Grammatica this year, and it was my 8th time. And I then followed on with Rosa Mystica, thanks Banafsheh, for the 2nd year, and did the Mary Magdalene pilgrimage with Calen Asbo. I went to Chartres to be there because it's possible. I'm based in Scotland, and there are flights, so I had a chance to go and be there, and to be in the cathedral and with the cathedral. And of all the things that I've learned from the university, the thing I am most grateful for is how what I've learned has become a widening ripple in the community that I live in now. I think some of you know that for a long time, my community is a community of traumatized children and young adults, most of whom are now stable and leaving home. 3 of them attended Grammatica, and we have a Chartrian labyrinth half a mile from home, and they went to the labyrinth, and with some very effective help from Calen, thank you, they walked the labyrinth. They've taken their friends back to the labyrinth, which is public in our local park. The park belongs to the university and officially it's closed, but they're 20, 23, so they climb the fence and they're taking their friends to the labyrinth weekly, fortnightly. They're organizing their own ceremonies and going to the labyrinth to have them. 3, 4, 5 of them, the friends of friends, have come into the kitchen to have a cup of tea and said, Robbie mentioned Chartres, Claire, and Professor Jim and the lady who dances. And I was wondering, what week is that in July? And can you help me set up a saving program? And this has happened maybe 10 times now since we came. We're not in lockdown anymore. Since Scotland mostly stopped being in lockdown, the young people want you. They're crying out for you. The Mary Magdalene work in particular, some of you know my other work is group-based energy healing. We're a community of several thousand globally, working in one case very specifically with the Mary Magdalene tradition. So while I was in Chartres, I was also working from the cathedral, doing that work, holding a virtual group, very much in the way that you're describing the nature of the virtual communities that can congregate in the shadow of the spirit and the organizing presence of Chartres, whatever it is. We have 2 groups a day. One is for personal work and development and healing, and another is working with disasters such as Oregon, such as the California fires, such as Belarus. The list of inexplicably good results that has arisen since being able to do that work from the cathedral is just exponential. You are onto something when you met or whatever the organizing principle is that moves from there virtually. It's global, and the nature of what it does is exactly as the scientists that spoke to us in Grammatica demonstrate. It's not that we have to be there, but it certainly has a magnifying principle that's emanating something into the world. And I look at I look at faces on this call, and sometimes it's like you blur into something crystalline and extraordinarily coherent, and then back again into faces. And I just wonder what we look like if we took our faces off and we were just souls of light pinpointed in a geometric pattern. We're a coherent one. Thank you. Thank you for your work. And Jim, I have a question that I've wanted to ask since I last saw you. You happen to be the first living being I spoke to for 3 weeks on my way out of Chartres. So now, with the benefit of some reflection time, there was some time when you and Apela went on a pilgrimage to Chartres, and you met a tree and things happened. And since then, there is a university. A university is a very grounded, organized thing. And a mystical experience at a tree is not, by definition, particularly grounded. What was the discernment process and the manifestation process that you went through to move from a dream at a tree to founding a university? Because I feel that that's the process my community needs, and maybe the ones that are arising from where you started. So what did you do other than dream and miraculously end up with a course I could attend? What was the middle bit?
That's a very big question.
Yes.
That maybe Apela and I can confer and talk about it in more depth next time, because that is a story worth telling at some point, how an encounter with a sycamore tree that Apela led us to in October of 2005 as part of the closing days of our Mary Magdalene pilgrimage, and how that, really transformed my psyche and opened me up to the leading of the spirit that ended up with Apela and Bob Meyer and Andrew Harvey and a number of other people, Carolyn Mace, Claire, a number of people just started to evolve what became known as the Chartres Academy, and the dreams and everything else that is unfolding. I think it's ultimately, details are interesting, but ultimately it's the opening of the heart to a leadership that is not of your own will. And I think the mystical path that I've learned over the years is a surrender to a will not one's own, that seeks to use you as an instrument for a holy purpose you can't even imagine, but it already knows.
And before you surrendered to that, did you know how to do a spreadsheet, give a presentation, and speak influentially to a group of people? Were those skills you already had, Jim, before you were recruited?
But Apela, you may want to add a note since the question came up, but I would say that, yeah, there's the picture of the sycamore tree there at the bottom of the hill along the river that changed everything and really sent the message that led to the Chartres Academy and everything that we've done subsequently from October of 2005. But I think I learned this surrender mostly from Apela in the immediate proximity of coming in as president of the university in February of 2005, and Apela leading me in, directing me to dedicate my tenure to Mary Magdalene and the Black Madonna, suggesting the pilgrimage to France in the footsteps of Mary Magdalene that she co-led with Andrew Harvey. So Apela, you want to just say a quick word, and then we'll have Richard, and then we'll probably bring the call to a close.
Yes, thank you, Claire. That's the question I needed to hear today. What happened, as I look back, and you just wakened me up in it. Sometimes I think I'm the oblivious practitioner, because we did the ceremony at the tree, and what you could say lightning struck. Jim just actually was flat out on the ground, just absolutely taken by vision. That was one thing. And the other thing is, from that moment, and none of us would have said at the time, because we were under the tree, now we're on the bus, and revelation, we were in a flow, a revelatory flow, and we were also, once that lightning struck, once that vision came, we were held and possessed by it, you could say. We don't want to be not possessed, but it's all you could think to do. And we did everything that came up. The door just opened, and we followed the breadcrumbs. Like, someone had a book that talked about, on the bus, that talked about the old mystery school that had been there. And then Jim and Bob and Andrew went crazy and bought an apartment there. They're determined they're in like 24 hours. I mean, it was a true vision. And the amazing thing was, it was collective. It came over all of us. And then we just kept moving. And what to do would show itself, and then we would do it. And then the next thing would show itself, and we would do it. And we took, just like manifesting anything is difficult. We had all kinds of challenges. And also, there was no script that we could see. Like, that surrender doesn't come with, instructions. It just you got to live it, embody it. And we made a lot of mistakes. Maybe they weren't mistakes, but there's this really steep learning curve, and all of it has been ecstatic. You can't stop it. And because you've asked this question, I just this week was talking with Claire to do a project and pile up all of the videos, pieces of videos that we have from all of the Chartres for the past 15 years. Get them all, they're scattered across countries, people, pile them all up, index them, and then perhaps we'll be ready to go the next step of what you've asked, Claire, to begin to tell the story from that tree out. But I never would have thought of where to begin the story had you not asked the question. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
And thank you all. When we go back to Chartres, we'll be sure to do a little journey down to the sycamore tree and pay homage to what we now call the mother tree, where it all began. And let's turn to Richard. And then when Richard makes his comments, we'll start to bring things to a close with Ruth singing and then Apela providing the benediction. Richard.
Greetings, fellow friends. I'm caught up, I don't know how, in this beautiful stream, like a sacred stream under Chartres. And it's suddenly invited me by showing up on my screen as a labyrinth, and I clicked and joined. And here I am. I'm a friend of Calen and have enjoyed her Black Madonna, her Madonna series, and we hike and worship together. And when I heard your tone and Apela, the tone is humble, wise, and inviting. So here I suddenly am a part of it. I was going to ask questions, but I see the tenor of the event is to share your heart. When my mother was passing, I was blessed to go in to the dark mother, and from within her, I saw bodies coming and going safely. And I rested in her, and I knew that I was safe as I come and go. Here in Oakland, I'm near Oakland, I was invited to Guadalupe's celebration in December at a church that's Latino. And there were thousands of roses at her feet and a little place to kneel. And I knelt and said, "I'm sorry I didn't bring you any roses." And she appeared and threw me roses and said, "Enjoy my creation." I'd never thought of it. I've been so busy trying to save everything. Enjoy my creation. So here's Paloma, Dr. Margaret Pavel, Paloma Pavel in the background. Hello, Apela, from CIS days. Jim, I see the price point for entering can be free or a modest $20, which is a beautiful price point for unemployed times. And also one can earn a degree at a level that supports, gives a living to the faculty. So I commend you on the structure, the grounded structure as we dream and create together. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for your
I'm
beautiful
sorry.
heart.
One more. I'm a professional video editor and do audio recording, 34,000 recordings over 30 years of wisdom healers around the world. I still have that collection, and I'm looking for current projects to do if there's something I can serve with.
Oh, well, good. Well, I want to sit by you because we do need a lot of video work done. So I may follow up with a call at one point. So thank you for that, Richard. Thank you very much. Before we have Ruth sing and then the benediction by Apela, Banafsheh, do you want to say a final word?
No, I'm just so very moved by everyone's sharing. Thank you so much, Richard. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. May we truly tune in to the beauty that is around us and live that. And that in itself is saving. Saving. Thank you. Thank you.
Ruth, give us a song. Thank you, Ruth. Apela?
Before the waters of the mother, there is life. In the darkness, matter assembles and forms and moves, quickened by the sun, by the warmth and the light. Emerging from the water, we, beings, the stardust of light, of matter, awaken. For renewal, we turn to our source now, to the holy wellspring, our inheritance, our womb, this planet, Earth, covered in ocean. May we cherish the gift we have, the gift we are, remembering that water not only nourishes, but reflects. And in that reflection, may we see the soul light that we have been given from the moment of our birth shining. And as we come together, soul light to soul light to soul light to soul light, to walk this labyrinth of life, we become one conscious, ignited flame of pure fire. Ah, Mama. Oh, I know.
Thank you, Apela. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you in our various courses and community gatherings as we move into September. Let us stay in community. Let us hold hands. Let us be a circle of the rose. Let us be coherent in ourselves and with each other as we move down this beautiful trail of life. May we enjoy creation as we seek to save ourselves in creation. Bye, everyone. See you next month, second Sunday.
Bye.
Bye, Apela. Bye, everyone.